one, to get you guys out of here as fast as possible, and two, to provide some value for you. So we want to make sure that these clinics are giving you guys value that you're able to take home, some new education, and apply it to your health journey. So we're going to dive right into an exercise, okay? Actually, I should probably introduce myself, because I don't know all of you. My name is Samantha Bahr. I'm one of the coaches here with Todd Halls. I also am the owner and CEO of Calories&Confidence nutrition company. It's an online nutrition coaching business that I started 3 years ago. So, with that said, we're going to dive right into an exercise. Now, this is one of my most favorite exercises that I do with all of my weight loss specific clients and people who are wanting to learn more about understanding their nutrition, okay? So this exercise is called the perception of macros. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to say a word, and you guys are going to write down as many foods that come to your mind when you hear this word, okay? Don't cheat. Don't look at your neighbors, okay? And just a little note on that, health is personal, right? So your goals are different from other people's goals. Your habits are different from other people's habits. Your triggers, your history are all different, right? When you really focus on yourself and do challenges and homework assignments yourself without relying on other people, that's going to create the best learning experience for you. So don't cheat. Create the best learning experience. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So I'm going to say a word. You're going to write down as many foods that come to your mind when you hear this word. The first word is protein. So you're just going to list it out, not looking at anyone else's sheet. Current thoughts, whatever comes to mind initially when you think of the word protein. I'm going to give you about 15 more seconds. We don't need an extensive list, just a quick current perception. Okay, so some pens slowing down, so let's move to the second word. Second word is carbs, short for carbohydrates. Carbs. List whatever comes to your mind when you hear the word carbs. Anything and everything. Foods wise. Oh, beautiful. Carbs. 10 more seconds for carbs. Just your quick current perception of carbohydrates. Okay, the last one, moving on, wherever you're at, is fats. Current perception, first foods that come to your mind when you think of fats. Whatever you think of, write it down. Fats. What comes to your mind when you think of fats? Yeah, I see some good lists out here. All right, wherever you're at, go ahead and pause. So what we just did is we created your current perception of each of the macronutrients. Now macronutrients are what supplies your body with calories. So you have proteins, carbs, and fats. There's also alcohols, but we're just going to focus on our food types, okay? So we're going to go through what your list is of your perception of each macronutrient and see how aligned it is with the reality of where our macronutrients come from, and then more specifically, how you can use that knowledge to apply it towards you specifically, okay? So, when we think protein, first thing we want to think is lean meats. So I want you to see the back. What do we think of protein? Lean meats, okay? So now you're going to go on your list, and you're going to circle only the things that you would consider lean meats. So things like chicken, egg whites, whole eggs, I would not consider a lean meat, okay? So chicken, egg whites, if you have lean beef, pork, lean turkey, some fish, liver. I don't know if I've ever had someone write down liver before.
We got it covered last night.
What? You can put that down. Venison, that's a good one. Okay, so someone that were not circled under protein? Just yell something out.
Shakes. Cheese.
Shakes, cheese, nuts. Okay. Awesome. What? Fish. So I would say that depending on what type of fish. Like a walleye or tilapia is going to be pretty lean, but a salmon will certainly have some fats in it. So it's kind of a mixed one. What else? Tofu. Is a non-meat source. Yeah. Okay, so when we think protein, if you're focusing on your lean meats first, that's going to be a great place to start for pretty much any health goal, unless you're trying to be a vegetarian, okay? So, you'd be excluding that. But when you do that, you're going to be focusing on just straight up protein without sacrificing much of your carbohydrates or your fats if it's lean. Now, if you have something like beef, and it's not a lean beef, you're probably going to get a lot of fats in there, right? So, when you focus on your lean meat sources, you're going to be doing your best to be targeting just protein without sacrificing from the other categories, okay? And I'm going to come back to why that's important at the end. Let's move on to carbs. So, actually, one more thing I want to say about protein. When you focus on the lean meats first, and then use your other items to supplement in getting your protein, that is a great place to steer towards. So things like, I heard cheese, okay? So cheese, yeah, you definitely get some protein in there. You're also going to get a bunch of fat, unless it's like a low-fat cheese, right? What else did I hear? I heard nuts. So nuts certainly have protein in them, but they're actually, majority of them are fat. So you're going to get more fats first before you get protein. And if you have a weight loss goal, that makes a huge difference. I'm going to come back to that at the end.
Beans.
What else?
Beans.
Beans. I love that one. Beans certainly have protein in them. But does anyone know what beans actually are mostly of in the macros? Carbs. So when you eat beans, you will get some protein, but you're going to get more carbohydrates than anything else. So if you're looking at beans as a protein source, you're getting a lot of protein, you're going to be much better off by steering towards your favorite lean meat sources. Okay, let's move on to carbs. So when we think carbs, we want to think fruits, veggies, and whole grains. So what do we think for carbs?
Pasta.
What did you say?
Pasta.
Pasta, okay. So on your list, circle everything that falls into one of those three categories: fruits, veggies, or whole grains. So you got bananas, you got apples, you have broccoli, you have rice, quinoa, oatmeal. Pasta could certainly have some whole grains in it. But here's the thing: when you're trying to focus on the best carbohydrates, think of your single ingredients. So with an apple, what's the ingredient for apple? What's the ingredient for broccoli? Broccoli. Now what's the ingredient for pasta?
Enriched wheat.
Flour. What else? Maybe some sugar, maybe some sodium, maybe, depending on what kind of pasta it is, right? There's other things that come in there. Does anyone write down bread? Lots of bread, right? So same thing there. You're going to have flour, sugar, yeast, probably some other things that I can't even pronounce, right? So when you're focusing on your single ingredient items, you're going to be doing your best to be targeting just your carbohydrates without much of anything else. And when you're focusing on those single ingredient ones, you're going to be getting a lot of other things that come along with it that influence or support your health. So things like fiber, micronutrients, beta-chemicals, and stuff like that. Whereas processed things like bread, depending on what kind, can remove a lot of that stuff. So, again, that makes a difference on a couple different levels if you have a weight loss goal, or if you are just focusing on trying to be the most healthy rounded person. But it all gets personal at that level. So, let's see, 2 more carbs that you did not circle. Throw something out.
Candy.
Candy. What else? They want to write baked goods or donuts. Okay, rice would be a whole grain. I put that under whole grain. So candy, yeah. I mean, depending on what type of candy, candy can be a huge general category, but you're certainly going to get carbs in there, so you're right on. What else are you most likely going to get with candy, depending on what type it is?
Sugar.
Okay, so sugar, I heard sugar and corn syrup. Well, where does sugar fall like think of like a Snickers bar or Reese's peanut butter cup. Fats, there we go. So you're probably going to get a decent amount of fats with it, unless it's something like a Jolly Rancher, it's probably just straight up carbs, sugar, right? So candy is a very general category. But again, think about those single ingredient items. If you're focusing on those things first, and then using other things in afterwards, you're going to be off to a really great start for whatever health goal you have. Make sense so far? Okay, last one is fats. Now, fats are a little bit trickier because there are subcategories of fats. You have your saturated fats, unsaturated fats, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated. Anyone confused yet? So, today's literature, and for a long time, literature has told us that our healthiest form of fats come from our poly and monounsaturated fats. So, some things that fall into that would be things like avocados, nuts, seeds, coconut, oil, olive oils, butters. So any of those you could circle on your list. Someone throw out some other things, anything that I didn't mention under your list for fats. Like candy would count.
Ranch dressing.
Ranch dressing would certainly have fats in it. Yep.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Nuts. Nuts. I would call that a good fat. Healthy fat. Yep.
Bacon.
Bacon? Yeah. So what else are you going to get with bacon? Protein. Yep. Bacon there's a personal level. Depending on your goals, bacon can have a couple of different roles in it. But in a general sense, protein, if you're focusing on your lean meats, using other things to supplement afterwards. Carbs, focusing on fruits, veggies, and whole grains, and then using other things to supplement in afterwards. And remember those single ingredients. And then for fats, focusing on your poly or monounsaturated fats, and that takes a little more personal diving into, understanding where those come from in your diet. But again, things like avocados, nuts, seeds, certain types of oils. Okay, so that is the perception of macros, and we just talked about how to see how well they are aligned with the reality of where our macronutrients come from. And now everyone's goals for the health and weight loss or whatever are going to be different. So how this applies to you is all going to be personal. But in general, across the board, if you're focusing 80 to 85% on those main categories and then filling in afterwards, you're going to be sitting pretty darn well. Good. Pretty well. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on that before I go into a quick little demonstration? Okay.